Hey there, ladies and gents, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Drew, and this is a cap for something that I'm not particularly sure of what it is. Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about a mental health topic, and being that we are talking about mental health, you know I like to start each of these videos with something good that's going on in my life. In the world of Kinetic Customs, which is the shoe customization brand that I own, and if you're not following us, go check us out on Instagram and YouTube here. But we just announced a custom design for 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves is going to Worlds this year. And so I did a custom shoe design on my live stream, and we just debuted it. And it's been getting a little bit of recognition. Hopefully it gets the eye of 100 Thieves. That would be really cool if I could get in contact with them. But it's a shoe that I really enjoyed making, and it is now out there for the world to look at. So be sure to go check it out on Kinetic Customs. And on the code side of things, a lot of things are coming together for some of the code projects and the apps that I'm working on. So yeah, life is good. We're moving in a good direction. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about this mindfulness thing. You may have heard the term mindfulness or being mindful recently, and it's for good reason. Mindfulness is coming into the forefront as one of the main things that you need to have on your road to mental health recovery, or you don't need to have it, but it significantly helps you if you're recovering from something like anxiety or depression, OCD, any of those very common mental illnesses or mental disorders. So to kick things off, let's look at the actual definition, or the kind of Webster's or Google definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, and is often used as a therapeutic technique. So, if you look at Eastern medicine, so medicine that's done like in China, in Japan, in Korea, there is a very big focus on looking within. So here in the West, if you have an ailment, you look outward, like what caused it, what are your symptoms, that sort of thing, or what can you take, or what remedies can you apply to make yourself better. In the East, especially when it comes to spiritual and mental health, and somewhat physical health too, there's a lot of looking inward, and there's a lot of introspection, as they call it. So looking inside of yourself and understanding why it is that you think and feel and that sort of thing. And to that end, mindfulness is a big priority in the Far East, and we get our modern understanding of mindfulness from some of the practices that are given to us by Buddhism and some more Eastern traditions. And it took a little while for it to make its way into the West, but I'm glad that it's here. And mindfulness has been an immense help to me in my mental health recovery, because being able to identify just how you feel is kind of the first stage in correcting the behavior of feeling, I guess you could say. Well, not necessarily correcting, but acknowledging. Mindfulness definitely puts forth the idea that you have feelings as a human being, as an emotionally healthy human being. You have feelings, emotions, thoughts, good or bad. And they all kind of become this body of your emotions or your feelings. And there's no one right or wrong way to feel necessarily. It's more so understanding that you do feel, if that makes sense. So if you're feeling anxious, you become aware of the fact that, hey, I'm anxious right now. Or if you're excited, it's like, I'm so excited. I feel excitement right here and right now. So mindfulness is understanding what you're feeling in the present moment and being able to identify with it. And like I said, it's immeasurably beneficial to have this trait, because if you are struggling with something like anxiety or depression or something like that, being able to pinpoint and say, hey, this is anxiety, or I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling nervous, or I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed, then you can really start to become cognizant and realize just how much it's affecting your life. And sometimes it even becomes easier to dismiss it, because you can say, I'm feeling really anxious right now. Wait, this is just anxiety. And even diving further into that, if you're starting to feel anxious, or you notice yourself being anxious, it's just as important to realize when you started being anxious, but making note of when you're not anxious, or when anxiousness ceases, is important too, because oftentimes your brain, if you're anxious or you're depressed, will insist on you thinking that you're only ever going to be anxious for the rest of your days and the rest of the hours that you draw breath on this earth. But no, anxiety wanes and it ebbs and flows. It wanes and waxes. So being cognizant of when it starts as much as being cognizant of when it ends helps you to become better accustomed to the feeling of anxiety and learning to cope with it. And this goes for any of the emotions: anxiety, depression, happiness, joy. All of the emotions tie back to mindfulness, and being aware of those emotions is important. So how do you achieve a overall state of mindfulness? Well, that's where the debate comes into play. So there's a spiritual aspect to it, and then there's a mental aspect to it. On the mental side of things, being able to slow down and kind of slow the pace of life, if that makes sense, generally leads to more mindfulness. So if you lead a particularly stressful life, and I'd like to think that I do have a little bit of a stressful life, or I put myself in not high stress environments, but by the virtue of how productive and how busy my days are, I am generally under a lot of stress. So every day, a lot of it is just go, 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 work on this, work on that. So taking some time for me at the end of the night to just kind of sit down and breathe, or if I'm feeling anxious, I feel anxiety coming on, just taking a second to breathe and slow things down. You may have 100 different deadlines that are waiting on you, but they don't matter right now. All you have is this present moment. So breathe, relax, and then jump back into the fast-paced world next. Mindfulness also encompasses like meditation and really training your brain to, again, kind of slow life down and make it easier for you to understand why and what you are feeling, and become aware and cognizant of those forces in your life and how to correct them. Because inevitably you're moving towards a state of mindfulness or a state of control over what you think. Or, I don't want to say what you think. You don't really have control over the thoughts that come into your head, but you have control over what you choose to do with those thoughts. So mindfulness is the trait of being able to have control over what you do with your thoughts and not feel like you're playing second fiddle or you're under the control of anxiety. It's the other way around. Now, there is a spiritual aspect to mindfulness as well. Now, I grew up Christian, Catholic as a matter of fact, and I do a lot of work within the church and volunteer my time. So I'm very close to the faith and close to my church. But there's also the Western ideal of Judeo-Christian theology states that we have this higher power, we call him God, and we live close to God and close to the way that he wants us to live as told through the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. But in the East, there's kind of a movement, or the spiritual side of mindfulness is looking within yourself to become the highest version of yourself possible, become kind of transcendent in a way. And while I still am primarily Christian and Catholic, and I subscribe to that ideal and that doctrine, I still see some hints of mindfulness, of the spiritual side of thing in Buddhism and kind of Christian view. Obviously, we look at Jesus, and he is the epitome, the Son of God, and God embodied in human form. And he kind of was a transcendent being. He was closest to God that man has ever been. He was literally the Son of God, or God as manifested as flesh and blood. And when we live close to him, we transcend kind of a life of sin for the life of God and the life of Jesus. So in that way, the two are very similar. I guess all that's to say is there's another aspect to mindfulness that is the spiritual side of things, and you can peacefully coexist that spiritual aspect as well with your own beliefs if you just kind of sprinkle it on top. So really, at the end of the day, the value of mindfulness for mental health is kind of the mental side of things, being able to look at how you're thinking, look at how you're feeling, and not really have a reaction to it, but just kind of notice that it's there and bring your mind into a state of just peace and calmness with whatever you're feeling. And we achieve this through things like meditation, breathing exercises, taking some time to do some self-care. There's so many great apps out there that can do mindfulness exercises with you. Some of my favorites are Headspace and Calm. They're both super duper cheap, and you can subscribe to them and get a bunch of extra features. They also have a free version, and I've used them on the daily, and they're really, really great. And of course, there's YouTube videos all over the place that show you how to do meditation and how to become more mindful. And if you're wanting to get started with adding mindfulness into your life, then I would just do a quick YouTube search, and you'll find resources abound for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We talked a little bit about mindfulness and kind of the different aspects of it, and be sure to implement it in your own life. It can be of monumental value, especially if you're going through some kind of mental health recovery. And we'll wrap up today's video in the normal way, and that's by me saying, always remember, friends, that you are wanted, you are loved, and you are appreciated. You have a special talent that nobody else has, and the world is waiting on you to bring it out. So muster a little courage, go out into the world, and change it. That's what the world's waiting on. You. Hey there, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time out of your day. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, leave a thumbs down. I learned just as much from the dislikes as I do from the likes. And if you want to continue the conversation, leave a comment down below. You can talk about just about anything from cat videos on to computer science questions or whatever is weighing on your minds. And if you want to follow me on social media, I've got links to my various social medias. I would love it if we could connect on those platforms, and you can keep track of me and what I've been up to outside of the YouTube realm, and possibly get a sneak peek into projects that I'm working on before they air here on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the video again, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take it easy.